Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time featuring in our bottom left-hand side BlackMikes, our red Terran, and in our top right we have Forsake, our blue Terran. Terran versus Terran. Both players are in Masters. We're on Entombed Valley, I think. I'm pretty bad with names, but I like this map regardless. And it should be on the ladder. You know, Terran versus Terran, Masters versus Masters, red versus blue. It's probably on the ladder. It's a safe assumption. A safe assumption that it's on the ladder. It's also a safe assumption that Terran versus Terran is going to be fun, especially in the mid game. Early game, not too many opportunities for aggression. It is nice to do a timing attack, and if you're super smooth, you can make it work, but it's very risky. And drops, while they're incredibly effective against the other two races, against Terran, where you have those stemmed Marines, they can deal with medevacs pretty easily. And so as a result, it's really common to have this nice grinding approach leading into the late game whenever you have one player that's already got an advantage and is just trying to nail the coffin shut. It's a very fun matchup to watch. It's not as tense as the other ones, but it is very much hinging on a single miss stemmed, a single missed opportunity and the wrong decision to make. It's more like risk and less like, I don't know, time crisis, if you will. Barracks being built in the traditional location for both players. Very much normal. No gas out of either players. It's just now at the 2-minute mark. It looks like they're going to be macroing up. Don't see any hints of a proxy. Both SCVs are leaving a little bit early for BlackMikes, a little bit later for Forsake, but definitely within the normal timing window. BlackMikes is moving off to the wrong location. Where's this fellow moving? Oh, yeah, he's going down to the bottom right, too. So neither player is going to be hitting the opponent's base on the top on the first try. Forsake's doing something that I really like, throwing down a supply depot right next to the barracks, making it so that this is a complete wall off, even though the supply depot is not 100% done. Fantastic way just to make your opponent look kind of annoyed, kind of nervous. He doesn't know if there's double gas already being tapped in an SCV, constructing a starport on the other side of this wall, and he's going to be dealing with battle cruisers in 90 seconds. It's a fun way to make your opponent a little bit nervous, and it's also kind of annoying. First Marine's going to be popping out. It's going to be dealing a death stroke to that SCV. Also, the first barracks is done since Forsake scouted in the wrong direction. That first Marine's going to be getting out and will definitely make that SCV shy away. I'm not sure if he's going to manage to take it out. Just depends on Forsake how well he's aware of that SCV. Not too aware. Oh, but that SCV almost gets out of range from that Marine. Almost slips inside to see that no gas has been tapped. Of course, he did scout the command center being constructed on the low ground, and that's very lucky for Forsake, because BlackMikes could have been doing what Forsake is doing, which is constructing that command center on the high ground. And then all he sees is a Marine aggressively positioned, knows that a barracks is up on the high ground, but doesn't know about the command center, and then that would probably, unfortunately, force him to scan later on just to see exactly what he would suspect naturally, which is that his opponent is expanding. And that's a lot of minerals, especially early on. Not something that you want to do. A very big windfall for Forsake. He's tapping double gas. BlackMikes is tapping double gas. We have another barracks being added on to the original, and his command center is almost completed. Command center is also almost done for Forsake. He's throwing on 2 more barracks of his own back at home and double gas. So wow, both players pretty much going early on the gas, early on the barracks. Definitely not so much of a economy build, more of an aggressive stance, but I don't think that just because he's getting 3 barracks total doesn't mean that he is 100% throwing into this. Really, it's the gas that cues you into the fact that this is more of a timing attack. There goes the tech lab, which is what I was waiting for before I weighed in on this. What he's going to do with this gas. He's going to be spending it on upgrades, specifically STEM. Could be combat shields. That will really tell you all you need to know about Forsake. Is he going to get STEM first? If he's getting STEM first, he's going to be more aggressive. You get combat shields if you're going to be a little bit more defensive. Is BlackMikes going to be defensive? You know, he's getting another barracks himself. He's double tapped that gas. Getting a factory, probably going to be throwing on an add-on to that factory and then a starport right above it, but only time will tell. There goes the stem for Forsake, so he is going to be a little bit aggressive with this tech lab. Gets the stem first, and he's getting the stem before BlackMikes even starts his, so that little difference right there, maybe 25-30 seconds, is really going to be huge, because it's not because stem is that big of a difference maker. He's going to have stem pretty much at the same time that BlackMikes is going to have stem. It's going to be the 30-second window when he has combat shields before BlackMikes that he's going to want to push in. He started that upgrade super early, and that means he's going to have plenty of time to get out a plethora of Marines. Maybe he's going to be working on his own starport. Maybe he's just going to be pushing out with pure Marines and combat shield. Probably going to be a +1 due to the fact that he's double tapped that gas. but only time will tell on that one. There goes the factory, and there goes the engineering base, so it will be a +1 timing attack. It's going to be nice. I like this coming out of Forsake. Unfortunately, BlackMikes is going to be in a pretty good position. I mean, check out that economy. They're pretty much neck and neck, 27 over 30. And he's working on his own infrastructure. In fact, his infrastructure is superior in forms of advanced tech. He's got that starport up. The reactor's going to be done too. He's going to have plenty of medevacs coming out. His own stim is only a couple seconds behind. Forsake's going to be able to push in with the combat shields complete. But both players are going to have stim. Probably both players are going to have +1. The engineering bay has started on that +1, so yeah, that's indeed what's going to happen. And then unfortunately for Forsake, he's going to have to push in with a bunker in the way, maybe 2 bunkers if BlackMikes gets wind of this early aggression. That's exactly what I do, is I throw down a supplemental bunker. He's taking out these destructible debris. It could be that he wants to throw up another bunker here and a command center for the third. I mean, that's exactly what he wants to do, is take that third. But he doesn't want to overextend himself too much. On the other side of things, Forsake has constructed a plethora of Marines. He is taking out the destructible debris himself. He's got a nice infrastructure in place. His own starport's going to be finishing with that factory. He's going to be behind by about a round of medevacs as well. Wow, significantly ahead on the Marine count, 22 over 11. Even though BlackMikes has a single medevac out, he's probably going to have 2 or 3 more out by the time Forsake actually pushes out. The fact that Forsake is ahead 2-1 on the Marine count, and he's going to have that combat shield. It doesn't really matter how many medevacs he has. He's going to overwhelm BlackMikes with just sheer unit numbers. It's going to be intimidating. I mean, look at how many Marines there are. 30 over 17. Yeah, 2 medevacs back at home, but 2 medevacs, that's not too significant whenever you factor in the fact that he's outnumbered almost 2-1. 45 over 35, so Forsake is actually pulling ahead both on the Marine count as well as the SCV count, which is very intimidating considering the fact that he is taking his third. This is exactly what Forsake needs to do. He's going to lose a crap ton of Marines. You see what I did there? I caught myself. I'm proud of myself. He's going to be losing a crap ton of Marines if he decides to push up here. It'll basically be an even blow because of just the fact that he's got that combat shield isn't going to overwhelm. It's not gonna buy his way into the base. The bunker's gonna be in position. Those medevacs are gonna make it so that the best he can hope for is basically a 1-to-1 trade. What would be better for Forsake is if he just push south, poke into the third, see that the third's not there, pull back to the watchtower, and be content with the fact that he's gonna have a massive economy lead. And it's basically going to be up to BlackMikes to push out and take that third, and then Forsake can force the engagement. Yeah, Forsake did a good job timing this attack out. His combat shields are going to be finishing, and have finished already, and BlackMikes' combat shields are going to be finishing by the time this attack actually takes place. +1 armor on the way for both players working on that siege tank tech. But no, Forsake should not force this engagement right now. It's going to end very, very poorly. Switch over to the units tab. 45 over 30. Even on the medevacs, but unfortunately Defender's advantage. Those medevacs are only going to be arriving halfway into this battle. You can just see the number of Marines beginning to fall, 25 over 12, and it's just so cost effective for BlackMikes to cut him down. You switch over to the resources lost tab, significantly more resources lost than for Forsake. On the other side of this, Forsake's economy, not in bad shape. 58 over 41. That's pretty good. You check out the supply count, 93 over 73. He's in not bad shape at all. He can re-macro from this like a champ. His infrastructure is in great shape, adding on 2 more barracks. What is this? Another engineering bay and an armory. He's going to be working on that +1 for his tanks. His factory is being put to good use with him constructing already 1 siege tank to protect that third. He's got to worry about a bit of a counterattack from BlackMikes, but he did plenty of damage to the Marine count of BlackMikes, so he's going to have to worry. You know, BlackMikes not going to be able to do too much besides 1 or 2 drops. He is being aggressive with that siege tank, but if BlackMikes thinks that he can push up into the third and take that out, even though Forsake has suffered a significant loss to his army count, he's got another thing coming. If either of these players fight each other, both armies are going to get demolished, and neither army is going to be able to do too much damage to the economy. BlackMikes does have a superior number of medevacs, 5 over 4, but that's not too much. And you can see that Forsake has rebounded perfectly from this. 27 over 25 for that Marine count. He's got 1 up on the tanks, which is really where their damage is being built. And then look at that, 66 over 47. His economy is absolutely booming. And remember, he's got that third orbital already up. BlackMikes has just now taken his, just now saturated his, but the refineries are going full blast at home. Not full blast, he's just got 1 and 1. but it's been constructed, and that's where it matters. And you saw here that Forsake just pushes down, checks out the fourth, sees that it's not been taken, knows that he was very comfortable with the fact that that third was not taken whenever he poked up in there, and even if it's been taken now, he's still feeling pretty good. He does not have his siege tank sieged. BlackMikes pushing in with his stemmed Marines, catching one of them off guard, still hasn't sieged that other tank. As a result, the tank gets lifted off in the medevac, and the rest of the Marines running away, sacrificing a couple of those Marines. 34 over 27. Here comes the reinforcements from Forsake, but without that siege tanks to support, the Marines from BlackMikes is going to be forcing him all the way back home. Now that the siege tank is sieged up on high ground, he's got this nice wall. Forsake is going to be able to have no problem to defend that if it was attacking from the foreground. However, BlackMikes swinging over to the left, still within range of the siege tanks. All of those Marines just absolutely melting away, forcing the single siege tank that survives to get lifted off into that medevac and gets chased down. But Forsake he's smelling blood. He's pushing it with all of his Marines. He's going to be cutting down a bunch of those medevacs, and the resources lost tab is actually beginning to equalize. Only around 900 resources behind, and every single one of those medevacs that goes down is 200 more resources. So a major win for Forsake. He's bought himself some breathing room. He probably needs to be thinking about either taking a fourth or doing something to deny BlackMike's own fourth, maybe working on some tech. I would recommend a drop personally. You know, this area right here is absolutely perfect for a drop. You stem it, just push down, do a little bit of damage and retreat. This is a fantastic move right here by having a Marine just scouting off in the top left, because it can be so tempting to get a hidden expansion. BlackMikes, though, it looks like he's going to be thinking about taking that fourth. What can BlackMikes do? He's got 4 siege tanks right now, plenty of Marines. He's got a healthy army, and he's going to be dealing with some nice upgrades in a couple of seconds. His own +2 armor, +2 weapons, and +2 armor is going to be finishing for Forsake in a couple of seconds, but he's working on his +3 already. Absolutely fantastic. A couple Marauders would not be a bad idea. Now that I see it on the production tab, that's probably not a bad decision at all. And look at this infrastructure. Man, he's going to be able to spin down quite a lot of money. Forsake, though, pushing in just to make sure that that fourth has not been taken just yet. We've got to be careful with these siege tanks just out of range. Oh, the whole position on those Marines taking quite a lot of damage. Good control there by Forsake to push them back. Neither player really wants to commit to the full brunt of all these siege tanks. And man, you really can't afford to lift anything off, because the second those medevacs get too close to those Marines, they're going to be cut down like like crazy. 36 over 44, a little bit of numerical superiority, but that's because the majority of the Marines are going to be reinforcing with 3 siege tanks moving in from the north side. Could see a little bit of a pincer, but even a pincer is really dangerous when you have this number of siege tanks. 2 more being added into the mix, though they're not sieging just yet. This is definitely a standstill, and this is in the favor of Forsake, because Forsake has the fourth locked down. BlackMikes needs to get his own fourth up, because he's afraid that Forsake is doing exactly that. Good unit control here by BlackMikes, seeing that this army was indeed going to be moved there by a little Marine being aggressively positioned. Unfortunately for Forsake, now that his army has been split up, BlackMikes gets to choose to kill one of these. He just needs to stem his Marines, push in there, either force the repositioning of these siege tanks once they unsiege, or push north and cut out the significantly smaller force, hope that he gets a couple of those medevacs. Medevacs are incredibly important whenever you have TVT, because if you can snipe down a medevac, you can keep that number into a very manageable force. It can really serve you, especially in the late game, whenever that medevac count gets up to like the 10, maybe 12 range. It can be pretty significant. 182 over 169, but BlackMikes is in a very commanding situation here, splitting his Marines to go around the crevice, pushing forward. He's going to succeed in taking all the siege tanks out, but Forsake deciding instead to come in and snipe the already weakened force. He's pushing down with just his Marines, and he's not going to succeed in taking out anything except for the orbital command, but their replacement is already there. All of his Marines are going to go down. Switch over to the resources lost tab. This is going to be pretty bad for him, because he's losing so much. Hasn't really succeeded in taking out too many of the workers. 8 workers killed for 6. He does keep all of his siege tanks alive, but you switch over, that was a huge number of his Marines dead, and this just speaks about his macro right now. 35 over 48. He's already got a healthy number of Marines back at home. The siege tanks are going to be able to retreat. He's not going to have any problem defending his third, but he will have a problem defending his fourth, which he's just now dropped down. On the other side of things, BlackMikes is constructing his own command center. Remember, the command center that was supposed to be due there did get sniped down, so now BlackMikes he needs to deny this fourth, and in order to do that, he's going to have to go through 4 siege tanks already sieged up, and that's just too aggressive for BlackMikes. He's going to have to retreat. he is up on the siege tank count. I mean, look at that, eight siege tanks, and we'd be able to cut to pieces anything that Forsake wants to do with those Marines, but all he wants to do with those Marines is defend his fourth, and that's exactly what he's going to do, and he's going to do it very, very well. Check out these upgrades. +3 weapons on the way for, oh no, +3 weapons on the way for BlackMikes, +3 ground weapons just now finishing for Forsake. So his bio ball is going to be significantly more powerful than BlackMikes, but BlackMikes is dropping off some Marauders and basically ferrying up his entire force to the high ground, but this is exactly what Forsake needs. Pushing in with his Marines into that siege tank line, sniping them down, really nice spread so that he doesn't take too much damage from that AoE. Snipes down every single one of those siege tanks, only one remaining with 11 on the ground for Forsake. He is losing one of his orbital commands. That does go down, and that's actually a hearty chunk of his economy. And man, BlackMikes' Marines are remaining alive, being healed up by that huge number of medevacs. And you see what I'm saying about how that number, if it goes unchecked, can actually be quite a bother. So BlackMikes remaining to basically be a commando, and poor Forsake, he needs to continually construct his Marines. He's got 34 of them, but where are they? Oh, they were off on the left side, probably defending the fourth, stemming in as quick as they can. They're going to succeed in pushing off this one once they decide to. But, finally engaging, finally going to take down that drop, but at the cost of an armor, a little bit of infrastructure here and there, and a hearty chunk of the economy. 25 workers killed in the favor of BlackMikes. Switch over to that economy tab. For the first time, BlackMikes is in the lead, and he's finally got that fourth up, so that was a major, major win for BlackMikes, especially considering the fact that he made it away completely with his medevacs intact. But his army count is actually pretty poor. 13 siege tanks for Forsake right now. Provided that the next engagement actually happens with the siege tank line, Forsake's definitely going to come out on top. I don't care how many Marines you have, 68 of them are going to get chewed apart by 13 siege tanks. That being said, Forsake has got to be very, very careful because those siege tanks are really the only thing he's got in his corner. He's behind on the economy. He has lost a base. He's getting up 2 of them, though, so he's going to skyrocket ahead. I think BlackMikes is being just more cost effective in general. You check out the resources lost tab. That being said, Forsake is doing a fantastic job with his macro. So this is definitely neck and neck. Absolutely neck and neck. It's really going to come down to who decides to engage where. Forsake needs to pull back. His Marine ball is nowhere near the size of BlackMikes, but BlackMikes' siege tank line is paltry in comparison to Forsake. I would really love to see a couple of Banshees for harassment, maybe 1 or 2 drops, because Forsake can afford to force BlackMike into a direct engagement, and you do that with drops. You make him nervous with drops. There goes the scan from BlackMike, seeing that the withdrawal from the siege tank. He's going to know that his 4th is actually protected, getting his own 5th in the bottom side, but remember the 5th has already been tapped for quite some time for Forsake. Man, Forsake, he just got to be a little bit more defensive. He's being so aggressive with this, and we've already seen that bite him in the butt. That being said, he's really making it work this time. His siege tanks being very aggressive, really pressuring BlackMikes, preventing BlackMikes from doing a drop as aggressive as he did the last time. The Marines taking quite a lot of damage from the 2 siege tanks that BlackMike has, and BlackMikes actually snipes off 1 or 2 of those siege tanks himself, so a major win there for BlackMikes. He needs to equalize that number. 12/7. He's definitely climbed the sheer amount of siege tanks. He's producing 3 at a time. Wow. +1 air weapons on the way. Battle cruisers for Forsake? When did this happen? What is this? Where is it? There's one with a reactor. I don't want to look around too much. Okay, there's 3 starports with tech labs on it. 5 more in the production tab for BlackMikes. I think BlackMikes knows that we have indeed reached the late game. Both players are expanding pretty much unchecked at this point because they're very much content to sit back and relax. And while there are 3 siege tanks on the production tab, here comes the enormous stem. However, the siege tank's moving just a little bit too far forward, not really stemming. Forsake comes out the winner in the Marine versus Marine battle for the time being, but now with some reinforcements of a couple more Marines, there are no Marines left at all. Both siege tank lines have pretty much obliterated each other. 1 or 2 siege tanks within range. It looks like they're going to go down 3 siege tanks against 4 siege tanks. What a slugfest. What an absolute slugfest. Nobody came out the winner of that. That's absolutely ridiculous. And you know what? that served is to free up a bunch of supply for both players. Forsake's probably going to be ahead, just all things considered, for the arms race. He's got the +1 weapons on the way for air. He's got 3 battlecruisers that are going to be popping out any second. Yamato Cannon already on the way, but Yamato Cannon immediately behind for BlackMikes. He hasn't started to produce any of his battlecruisers just yet, and with 3 of them out on the field right now and no Marines to protect the siege tank, BlackMikes is going to be in for a world of hurt as soon as these battle cruisers arrive. Where are those Marines? Okay, a couple of them coming in, but that's not nearly enough anti-air, especially if the push from these battle cruisers are accompanied by the Marines, and that's exactly what it is. Here comes the battle cruisers coming in. They're going to be sniping down those siege tanks, I hope. Oh man, this is absolutely perfect for Forsake. He's going to be coming in, he's going to be doing massive damage to these siege tanks. Look how quickly they evaporate. Got to be careful though. If those siege tanks get out of the range of Forsake's own siege tank line, the battle cruisers can get sniped down by a couple of stinned Marines, significantly more cost effective for BlackMikes. Repositioning, excellent idea. Forsake's going to be pushing in, probably going to be denying this 4th, and BlackMikes is going to be forced to engage, which is not something he wants to do. He wants to wait around for his own battle cruisers. Oh, he's producing Vikings right now. A good decision, actually. A very good decision. It's going to have no problem reclaiming air superiority, as provided that Forsake gives him enough time to get those Vikings out. These battle cruisers are going to be shelling down quite a lot of fire. However, they really don't want to engage in that huge ball. Here comes a little bit of a drop. Not that effective, maybe succeeding in taking out one of those siege tanks, but what it did succeed in doing is forcing Forsake to reposition his siege tank line. Oh no! BlackMikes pushes forward into this entire force, making his siege tank siege up well within range of Forsake's. Forsake had his button on the siege just like 1 or 2 seconds before BlackMikes did, and as a result he got an entire volley off before BlackMikes did, and that just wiped away all of his Marines. He took 1 volley from the siege tanks from BlackMikes and then wiped away all of the siege tanks, and all of a sudden BlackMikes has nothing left. 1 Marauder, 5 Marines. Where did those Vikings go? He had 5 Vikings on the production tab. Oh no, the Vikings were for Forsake. There we go. Oh my goodness, it's like I'm having a stroke. It's like I'm having a stroke. That was a fantastic game. I'm assuming Forsake was the one who sent it in just because he was incredibly mannered, and poor BlackMikes just couldn't catch a break. I feel like BlackMikes did a good job though. I mean, he did a very good job being very cost effective. It's just Forsake was better at the mechanics. He was better at macro. He knew exactly what to do once he got to mid game. He knew how to transition out of mid game to late game. When he forced an engagement, he came out on top. He did quite a lot of damage with his siege tanks. Fantastic job for both players. I feel like the push at the start was ill-advised. Once you see that the 3rd wasn't up, you got to be content to pull back, and even though you've invested quite a lot in this timing attack, you saw what happened. You push in with upgrades that you think are going to work, and you melt away. So you do the scan, you see what your opponent's dealing with. I saw that Forsake actually blew 2 scans before pushing in with that force, so you know exactly what's happening. You see those combat shields, you know that your opponent at least has combat shields and medevacs, and you're not going to be super cost effective. And even if you come out ultimately on top from that push, you're not going to have enough to push into the natural and actually take it out. Maybe 1 or 2 SCVs, but it's not enough to justify losing your entire force. So pull back, take your 3rd, realize that if your opponent wants to do something, he's going to have to push out and take you out on even terms, and then you're going to come out of the winner because you've had this significant lead for a significant amount of time. Well, I don't know. That's a fantastic game. You're a fantastic person. I am Big and Scary. I will see you guys later. Bye.